There's a piece by Heather McDonald in USA Today, July last year, headline, "There is no epidemic of fatal police shootings against unarmed black Americans." And she points out that much of modern policing is driven by crime data, just like much of modern lending is driven by data, by algorithms. That's why when people say they're turned down because of race, I mean, really? It's called credit scores. But getting back to Heather McDonald's piece, she writes that much of modern policing is driven by crime data, and that the black community is heavily policed because that's where people are disproportionately hurt by violent street crime. And I've told you studies that find that blacks want the police to maintain the same level of manpower to the same degree as whites do, if not even more. So when people like Maxine Waters purport to speak for most black people, she does not. Most black people do not have hostility towards the police, do not want the police defunded, which is one of the cries from the left. New York City, 2018, 73% of shooting victims were black, though blacks are roughly 24% of the city. She writes that blacks between the age of 10 and 34 die from homicide at 13 times the rate of white Americans, according to the CDC. As of the June 22 update, again, this is last year, Washington Post database of fatal shootings found 14 unarmed black victims and 25 unarmed white victims in the year 2019. This does not include people killed by other means like George Floyd, but most of the people killed by cops are killed by firearms. 14 unarmed black victims shot and killed by the police in 2019. 25 unarmed white victims shot and killed by the police in 2019. Name one. This thing on? Harvard economists looked at what happens when the police reduce their presence in minority neighborhoods. After investigations opened up, after there was high-profile shootings in Baltimore, Chicago, Cincinnati, Ferguson, Missouri, Riverside, California, there are almost 900, quote, excess homicides, close quote, almost 34,000 excess felonies, excess meaning the way it would have been had it not been for the police pulling back. She writes, quote, "Cops pull back from discretionary activity, questioning a suspicious person on a known drug corner, for example, and simply drive on by. Such stops are voluntary. Cops are not mandated to make them." This Harvard study found that in Chicago, police-civilian interactions decreased almost 90% in the month after an investigation into deadly force was announced. In Riverside, interactions decreased 54%. St. Louis, interactions decreased 46%. So these kinds of proactive policing that many people feel are responsible for the decline in crime are a big factor in the decline of crime, simply not being done, and as a result, crime is going up. In the very cities and the very areas that the people yelling and screaming about systemic racism, the areas that these people claim that they care about. Now, let's get back to what this gentleman said last night.
Today, the police will kill 3 people. And tomorrow, the police will kill 3 people. And the day after that, the police will kill 3 people, because on average, the police in America every day kill 3 people, which amounts to about 1,000 people a year. And those people happen to disproportionately be black people. And
by the way, virtually all of the 1,000 resisted arrest with a gun or another weapon or otherwise resisted violently. Virtually all of them, says the Washington Post.
You know, James Baldwin once said, "The most despicable thing a person can be is indifferent to other people's pain." And so I just ask that you please not be indifferent. Please don't be indifferent to our pain.
I think one of the most despicable things you can do is tell a young person he or she is a victim when in fact they are not.